This is the Notion landing page, and this is what I was able to recreate using Divi 5 and SiteKrafter Pro Framework. Now, when you take a look at this layout, it looks very basic, very simple, and it looks like things were just put on together. But what you're going to learn in this tutorial is the exact way you need to lay out all your information on the page, including a spacing framework. Okay, so you'll notice that, in fact, let's do this. I'm going to come over here and measure the spacing between items here. So I'm going to start off with the buttons and this text. So I'm just going to estimate this. This is about 52, okay, roughly 54. Okay, and if we come over here, do the same thing. We're going to measure. Okay, do you see that? It's almost 54. So that means the spacing between here and here is the same. But when we come over here now on the trusted by Teams at and measure, it becomes almost double what we had over here. Okay, so do you see that the spacing is intentional? And now if we take a look at the spacing here, again, it's pretty much the same as the spacing that we have between the buttons and this text and this video and this these icons here. So the spacing itself is following what is known as a spacing framework, and this is what we have inbuilt in the SiteKrafter framework. So let's put all this together and let me show you how to actually achieve this. So over here, in fact, let me escape out of here. So over here, we're going to go back to our site. So I'm going to keep this open, but I'm going to create a brand new one. So I'm going to open a new page here. Right. So let's just call this Notion and click Use Divi Builder. So we're just going to close out of here because we need to build from scratch. So you can close out of here or you can click here, but either way, it doesn't really matter. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with adding a single row, okay, like that. Now, this row is very important because we are going to just add a few items in there. In fact, I'll be showing you step by step. So let's start off by adding our text module. Now, when we add our text module, if I duplicate this, you'll notice that we have this spacing automatically. Now, as we're designing, we don't want to do that. And this is what a lot of new designers really mess up when they design websites, because they're using the spacing that is there by default. But actually, we are supposed to be adding our own spacing that is intentional, that follows a spacing scale. So what you need to do now in this case is to come over here to Row Settings, Design, and then you need to make sure that you come over here to Layout and change the layout style to Block. Okay, so now do you see that between these two now, there's pretty much no spacing. Now, this is very good because it's very intentional. All right, so that covers this text and this text. So now we know the next thing that we need to add here are the buttons, right? No problem. So we're going to hover over here, click on this plus button, and this time we're going to switch to group. Okay, it's important we do that. And in this group, we're going to have two buttons. So I'm going to search for my button here, like that, and then we're going to duplicate it. Now, we've duplicated our buttons, but we need them to be side by side. Now, how do we do that to achieve this? Well, we're going to use Flexbox, which is our latest feature that was introduced to Divi 5 not so long ago. So I'm going to click on Group Settings, and then over here on Design, we're going to go to Layout, and then in our Flex here, now you can see this is already set up, okay? What you need to do now is to change the direction from where it's pointing down to sideways, like that, okay? Next, we want to make sure now everything is centered, so we're going to come over here and center it. So pretty much we're very close to achieving what we want, which is right here in the heading. So now let's just copy the text. So we're going to highlight, copy that. And then back over here, we're going to go into the first text here. And I'm going to make sure I'm in my text mode, and I'm just going to paste it. Okay. So now that I've pasted it, we need to add this description text here. I'm going to highlight it. copy it, and then back over here, we're going to go in and paste it. Okay, great. So we have our content here so far. Now we need to stylize it. And this is where the SiteKrafter Pro Framework comes in, because if I were to go into the design tab here, it'll take me a very long time for me to achieve what I need to achieve. So let's start off with our top text here. Go to advanced, CSS ID and classes. And I'm going to start off with my SK heading, because this is my custom heading. And I'm going to try 6 first. Okay, and I want to make it bold as well, because if I come over here, I can see it's quite bold and it's also really dark gray. All right, so to make it bold, I'm just going to say font, and I'm going to go with font 800. Yeah, I think font 800 works. And then for the color, I'm going to say text, and it's going to be gray, but the scaling here is going to be gray 800. Okay, we don't want to make it really, really dark. We can even go gray 700. I think that works fine. Okay, and finally now we are going to center it. So we're going to say text dash center. There we go. So now it's centered. Next, we're going to move on to the description text here. Okay, so there we go. I know it's not our normal paragraph text, so we're going to go in and make a slight change to this in terms of the size. So we're going to go in, advanced, CSS ID and classes. And then over here, we're just going to click in and we're going to say text, and let's try XL. Okay, that's a bit too much. Let's try L for large. Okay, I think we are, about right. Okay. And what I also need to do is to center it. So I'm going to go text center, space and center. There we go. Text center. So now it's centered, and I can see here that it is slightly bold, and we want to make it slightly thinner here just to match with that. Okay. So we're going to say font, and let's say font. Let's try 300 first. No, that's too thin. And that's the beauty of using this framework, because I can just go in and select what I think is the size using the drop down. Okay, I can see my text here is slightly darker as well. So let's go and say text gray. So this is our color system. So we're going to say gray 700, maybe. Yep, I think that works. So we're going to go with gray 700. All right, so now that we have this, the next thing we're going to do is to come over here to our section. Okay, so we're going to select it, and we're going to go to design, layout, and we are going to change this layout style from flex to block. That way, it won't give us all these spacing between our rows as I'm designing. Okay, all right, great. So the next thing I need to do is to come into my row settings here and remove all the padding. So we're going to go to our column here. In fact, I think we can do it here. Let's go to CSS ID and classes, and we're going to say P0. Now, do you see that? So it means now we don't have any spacing around our rows, because we want to use specific sizes as we're designing. All right, so far so good. We have what we need here. Now let's take a look and see what else we need to do. So we can see here that we have this trusted by team at. This can fit into the same row here. So let's add text module like that, and let's name it trusted by teams at. Copy that, and you can see the text is quite small, so we can leave it as it is because the text seems fine. And then we're going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and we are now going to center it. So we're going to say text space and then center. Okay, great. So we have everything that we need now. We need to apply our sizing. Okay, so to apply our sizing now, we need to start with this one here. And we did say the size here and the size here is the same. So let's go ahead and apply that. So we're going to go to the group settings. For our spacing, we are going to use margin top. So it's empty. And let's try S and see. I think this is the right size. So let's try and measure it. So we're going to come over here. There we go. All right. So definitely margin small is what's going to work for us here. Let's do the same thing over here. We're going to come to our paragraph here, advanced, CSS ID and classes. And we can even add it here at the beginning. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to add a space. So we're going to say MT for margin top S. Okay. So now we have equal spacing between here and there, which is great. So this is small, okay? And we know that this here is double the space here. So which means we're going to need medium for this part here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to come to, oops. So we're going to come to the text module and go to CSS ID and classes. Now, I noticed that something is happening here. It looks like there's a default spacing that was added here. Anyway, that's not a problem. Let's add another row. So we're going to go to equal columns. And in here, we're going to add text and some buttons. Okay, so let's add our text module. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this out of here and put it in here like that. Okay, great. So let's get rid of this one now. So now we have our own row, which we are going to go in and remove the spacing like what we did. So we're going to go to CSS ID and classes. And then over here on the class, we're going to say P0. So P is for padding. Okay. Now for the margin, we are going to go for medium. So margin top dash M. Okay, so the space now here is double what we have here, which is similar to this. Next, we have these icons here. So let's go ahead and add those. So to do that, we're going to first select our text module. Right click, and I'm going to say add module below, and it's going to be a group. And with this group now, in fact, with this group, we're going to add images. Oops, why? Okay, there we go. We're going to add images. And I already have my images in my folder, so I'm going to select and choose my image. I'm going to start with this one, upload image. You can see here it's quite big, so I want to reduce the size by coming over here to the design tab. And over here on sizing, it's set to auto. I'm going to say 3 rem, hit enter. Okay, so I can see it's too small, so I just have to try. I'm going to say 4. Okay, let's go 6. Yeah, I think 6 rem works. Let's just double check. Yeah, maybe 7 rem. There we go. All right, so we have our image here. I'm going to duplicate it a few times. But before I duplicate it, you know what? I want to center it. So I'm going to come in here, go to design, and I just want to center it. Okay. So now I'm going to duplicate it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go into each image here and change it. So I'm just going to now go for the Toyota, and then I'm going to go to the next one. So this time it's going to be the Vercel. Move on to the next one, and this one I think is going to be the Figma, which is right here. Excellent. So I have all my icons here. There's two ways to align them the correct way. So the first way is you can select the group and then come over here to design, layout, and you can see here we're in flex. We just need to change the direction like that. And that pretty much solves our problem. Everything is now centered, and we can even go and say space between, and pretty much we're good to go. Now let's move on and add our next item. And this time it's going to be our video here. So again, back, I am going to click here on this plus button and let's add our video. I'm going to select it. Okay, there we go. So now that's our video. So I just want to make sure that here we don't have any weird spacing and all that. So you can see here we have flex. I want to go back to block. Okay, so that just removes the spacing and and all that. So you can see here I can go in and manually add my spacing. Okay, so it's very, very important that you add intentional spacing. So I'm gonna now go into my video, and I know this is going to be medium because I measured it. So I'm gonna go to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and I'm gonna say MT for margin top, and we're gonna go medium. But of course you can go large, if you want. It's pretty much up to you what class you want to use, depending on how things are looking here. And what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to go into this group and add my spacing, and my spacing here, I'm going to go to CSS ID and classes, and here it's going to be margin top, and this is going to be extra small, because when I come over here to this side, I can see that the gap here isn't too much. Okay, so I'm going to use extra small. All right, so back over here to our design, I need now to just add an image. So I'm going to add my overlay, click here on add image, and I'm just going to use the screenshot that I took, upload image. So that's the screenshot I'm going to use for my example here. Next, I'm going to now go into the design tab. We're going to go to border, and we are just going to say for rem. Oops, that's way too much. Okay, we're going to go with 1 rem. Okay, so 1 rem is going to be for our rounded corners, which is similar to what I have here, which is great. Now, we can see over here that this translates to 2 lines in our design here. And because we separated our rows, I can go into this row, design, and then go into sizing. And I'm going to set this to 70 CH. So that's 70, the characters. Okay, so now everything looks really, really, really good. Okay. Let's just publish this for now, and let's do a quick preview. All right, so far so good. We're not too far off from this. So now let's work on the button. All right, so I am going to show you the long way of creating your button. So what does the button say? I think it says get Notion free. All right, so let's go into the button here. Get Notion free. Okay, now let's stylize the button by coming over here to design, button, use custom styles, and then we're going to start with our button border. In fact, let's start with our button background. How about that? So I'm just going to quickly choose my color here. Okay, so that's going to be my color. Next, I'm going to go to my button border. Make sure this is set to 0. I'm going to enter that. And then I also need my text color. Where's my text color here? There we go. Button text. We're going to set our color here to white. There we go. And I now need to add my sizing. So I'm going to go to my spacing. And for the top, we need padding for this. So for the top, I'm going to go 10 pixels. So it's going to be top and bottom. Okay, that's not too bad. I just need to increase my border here. So I'm going to go to button border, increase this to about 8. And I think that's looking good. I'm going to save that, delete this one, and then duplicate this one here. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is to work on this one. I'm going to go to design, button, and I'm going to go to button background, select this, and I'm going to add transparency to this so that I have the light blue that we have in the design. So I think this will work. And then next, I need to change my text here because my contrast doesn't look right. So let's go to a button text. So instead of white, we're going to go in and let's go with that. So now we have great contrast. I'm going to save. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and refresh. And there we go. It looks like this is looking much better. And let's just compare. Yeah, we're not too far off. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you that this is mobile friendly because this is using the framework. So if I start making my site smaller, you can see my text there is readjusting and everything is just looking great. So everything is going to look great in all devices because our text is fluid. Now, if you haven't signed up yet to Divi University, head over to diviuniversity.com. It's free to join the community. And also I have a course which is called Divi Mastery. Okay, so now this Divi 5 Mastery gets you up and running. You can see it has 622 students already. It will get you up and running with Divi and you'll be able to design your websites in a really, really amazing way using the new Divi 5 page builder. And also, if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can go ahead and do so by coming over here to the top right when you go to diviuniversity.com, and you can buy me a coffee over there. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.